Here are the top stories for today, July 30, 2021. Metro Manila is back to enhanced community quarantine starting August 6 to 20. More restrictions are now in place as a stricter GCQ is now in effect in the region until August 5. The Philippines extends its travel ban on 10 countries until August 15 as it works double time on preventing further spread of the highly transmissible Delta variant. Beefing up alliance, the visiting forces agreement between the Philippines and the U.S. will remain as the Defense Department confirms that President Rodrigo Duterte recalled its abrogation. And a mouth-watering way to heat up the rainy days. A chef from Pangasinan creates a fusion of Japanese cuisine and our very own Lomi. Good day. I am Marita Muaje. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story tonight, stricter measures are back in Metro Manila as authorities race against time to curb the spread of the COVID-19 Delta variant. The region is under general community quarantine with additional and heightened restrictions starting today until August 5 and under enhanced community quarantine or ECQ from August 6 to 20. Speaking over state-run PTV, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said under the stricter GCQ, both dine-in and alfresco dining are not allowed in Metro Manila and food services are only limited to take-out and delivery. Personal care services such as beauty salons, beauty parlors, barbershops, and nail spas may operate up to 30% of venue capacity. Only authorized persons outside their residences shall be allowed to travel into and out of the NCR Plus area, which includes Cavite, Bulacan, Laguna, and Rizal. Only virtual religious gatherings shall be allowed while public transportation will remain operational. Indoor sports courts and venues and indoor tourist attractions may not operate while outdoor tourist attractions shall remain at 30% of venue capacity. Meanwhile, Gingoog City, Iloilo City, Iloilo Province, and Cagayan de Oro City shall remain under ECQ starting August 1 until August 7. Cebu City and Cebu Province, meanwhile, will be under modified ECQ from August 1 to 15. Also under MECQ are Ilocos Norte and Bataan in Luzon and Mandaue City and Lapu-Lapu City in the Visayas. Here's a look at the latest quarantine classifications across the country. The Philippine National Police says the recovery rate among the COVID-19 infected personnel is now at 96%. The PNP Health Service said the total recovery count among the personnel is now at 29,164 out of a total of 30,335 infections since the start of the pandemic last year. Meanwhile, 195 more police personnel contracted COVID-19, raising the active cases to 1,088 as of July 29. The Quezon City government has earlier ordered the immediate vaccination of its 536 police officers. Based on records, the 82 infected officers are from Station 3 and Police Community Precincts 1 and 2. As such, visitors are temporarily restricted in the police stations as the inmates are also being subjected to contact tracing. Mayor Joy Belmonte assures that the 220 detainees there will be provided with food for at least 10 days. The travel ban on India and 9 other countries has been extended to prevent the further spread of the COVID-19 Delta variant. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says travelers from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand remain prohibited from entering the country until August 15. As of July 29, an additional 97 Delta variant cases were reported in the Philippines, bringing the country's total case count of the more infectious coronavirus to 216. About 88 of the 97 new Delta variant cases are local cases, 6 are returning overseas Filipinos, and 3 others are still being verified. Of the 97 cases, 94 have been tagged as recovered, and 3 were fatalities. The Delta variant, which was first detected in India, is driving new outbreaks across the Asia-Pacific region, including Southeast Asia. It is found to be 60% more infectious than the Alpha variant, as it can infect up to 8 people in one sitting. The number of countries and jurisdictions where the green lane policy for fully vaccinated travelers will be implemented has been reduced to 51 from 57. The following countries are among the states and jurisdictions included in the revised roster. Fully vaccinated individuals who will be given green lanes are required to take RT-PCR test on their 5th day upon arrival in the country. Even if they yield a negative RT-PCR test, they are still required to complete the 7-day facility-based quarantine. If they tested positive, prescribed isolation protocols must be followed. On the other hand, individuals whose port of origin is not a green country or who stayed outside a green country or jurisdiction at any time in the past 14 days before arriving in the Philippines cannot avail of green lanes. Individuals who are not fully vaccinated or even if fully vaccinated but whose vaccination status cannot be verified as authentic upon their arrival in the country cannot also be given green lanes. Health authorities in Western Visayas said there is no indication of sustained transmission of the COVID-19 Delta variant in the region, even as it recorded 4 more cases of the highly transmissible variant. Of the 4 cases, 3 were local cases while 1 is a returning overseas Filipino. The first case is a 59-year-old female from Antique, where the first 2 cases of the Delta variant were detected. The second case is a 30-year-old male from Mandurriao district. The third case is a 30-year-old female dialysis patient from Cabatuan, Iloilo. And the fourth case is a 46-year-old male from Barotac Nuevo who is currently in Manila but tagged in Iloilo as his declared residence. Regional epidemiologist Glenn Alunsabe says while there are sporadic cases of the Delta variant, it is too early to think of a sustained transmission. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 is working overtime to deliver more COVID-19 vaccines to the local government units. Task Force Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. said the government needs to deliver 25 million doses monthly to meet the monthly demand and increasing capacities of all regions and provinces. He said the government is also negotiating with other countries for more supplies. This morning, another 1 million Sinovac jobs arrived at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport via Cebu Pacific flight. This is on top of the 1.5 million doses of the jobs that arrived yesterday. The country is also expecting the arrival of 3 million doses of Moderna vaccine and 1 million doses of Sinopharm within the week. Meanwhile, Google said it will allocate $300,000 or 15 million pesos to United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund or UNICEF to alleviate the pandemic woes in the country. UNICEF Philippines said they will use a grant to train health workers in infection prevention and control, distribute hygiene and disinfection kits, support the continued learning of children, and increase access to medical, legal, psychological, and social services for children and women survivors. Still to come, the United States and the Philippines renew alliance as U.S. Defense Chief Lloyd Austin is currently in the country. And bank account holders are warned to be more vigilant against cyber criminals. Details ahead, this is the PNA Newsroom.
Ang disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado. Kaya tayo na po't magparehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bansa. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Commander Dito Ocampo po ng Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary para sa kumpanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit natin kailangan magpabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Dahil mahal mo ang iyong sarili, pamilya at bayan. Ang bakuna ang tiyak na paraan para tuluyang mapigilan ang pagkalat ng virus. May mga patunay na mababa ang porsyento ng pagkalat ng COVID-19 sa mga nabakunahan na. At matapos mabakunahan, malaki na ang tsansa na makabalik ka sa normal mong pamumuhay. Kaya tulad ko magparehistro na at magpabakuna na kontra COVID-19. Muli po, ako si Commander Dito Ocampo, Disiplina Muna Ambassador. Nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna dahil bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro tayo at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
In continued efforts to vaccinate more Filipinos against COVID-19, the Baguio City government announced plans to vaccinate more senior citizens and persons with disabilities. More on this and other news from the provinces from Joyce Cudis.
The Baguio City government targets to vaccinate over 12,000 more senior citizens who are yet to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. Mobile vaccination teams will be deployed to different barangays while local officials help seniors and persons with disabilities to register for vaccination. Mayor Benjamin Magalong said the city government hopes to expedite the inoculation of the most vulnerable sectors. As of July 27, over 21,000 senior citizens have received their first dose of the vaccine, while 18,000 have also received the second dose. In Antique, the provincial board on Thursday passed a resolution formally asking the National Task Force Against COVID-19 for more COVID-19 vaccines. Antique Vice Governor Edgar Donosta said more Antiqueños are now willing to avail of the jobs, but the supply in the province are not enough. He added that the reported case of the Delta variant in the province also prompted residents to get inoculated. The Department of Health in Antique said the province is expecting an additional 12,000 doses of Sinovac from the DOH Western Visayas Center for Health Development on Thursday. Meanwhile, mass vaccination in Soc-Sargen against COVID-19 have shifted to high gear as more vaccine supplies continue to arrive in the area. The DOH Region 12 said the rural health units have doubled their efforts to cover more eligible individuals on a daily basis and maximize the utilization of the available vaccines. For this month alone, the national government allotted about 645,000 vaccine doses for the region. Some 199,000 individuals in the region under priority groups A1, A2, and A3 have already been vaccinated against COVID-19. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Joyce Cudis.
President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the resumption of the Visiting Forces Agreement between the Philippines and the United States. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana announced that the VFA is back on track in a joint press conference at Camp Aguinaldo with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Lorenzana said the president made the decision last night during talks with Secretary Austin in Malacanang. The VFA was supposed to be officially scrapped in August last year, but its termination was postponed for the third time after Duterte in June this year extended its validity for another 6 months. Earlier, Duterte and Austin affirmed the need for enhanced communication and greater cooperation to further boost Manila and Washington's alliance. The two discussed the status and future direction of the Philippines and the U.S. engagement as they commemorate the 75th founding anniversary of their diplomatic ties and the 70th anniversary of their mutual defense treaty. The Office of the President said they also agreed to bolster cooperation in battling COVID-19 and transnational crimes and illegal drugs, as well as in trade and investments, maritime domain, and the rule of law. Duterte also hailed the U.S. for helping the Philippines in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology said there is no tsunami threat from the magnitude 8.2 earthquake recorded in the Alaska Peninsula. Based on PHIVOLC's tsunami advisory issued on Thursday afternoon at 4:17 p.m., no action is required as no destructive tsunami threats exist. Earlier, PHIVOLC dismissed calls for evacuation but advised a number of provinces to monitor updates. It said a strong earthquake may generate a destructive tsunami that can strike coastlines in the region near the epicenter within minutes to hours. The U.S. Geological Survey said the magnitude 8.2 quake hit 91 kilometers east-southeast of Perryville, Alaska. Reports said a tsunami warning was issued on parts of Alaska after the strong earthquake. Moving to news in the provinces, the Department of Agriculture reported sufficient yield of fish despite the strong winds and relentless downpour caused by the southwest monsoon enhanced by Typhoon Fabian. This as the Philippine Fisheries Development Authority and Sual Fish Port in Pangasinan registered a 64% increase during the unloading period from July 19 to 25. In its aggregated data, PFDA recorded 79 metric tons in its weekly fish unloading volume nationwide. Skipjack tuna or gulyasan yielded the highest availability of supply at 34 metric tons, followed by galunggong with 29.4 metric tons and yellowfin tuna with 12 metric tons. With the African swine fever still plaguing the meat market, the DA relies on other sources such as fisheries to assure food security in the country during the pandemic. In our business news, the Bankers Association of the Philippines has urged the public to heed advice from financial institutions regarding best practices on how to protect themselves against cyber criminals. In a statement, the BAP urged the public to be vigilant amid the rising cases of online fraud like phishing and other cyber crimes, especially since the pandemic hit in 2020. The BAP assured the public that all banks have rigorous protocols when it comes to investigating cybercrimes and penalizing criminals. It said the industry also continues to make investments related to cybersecurity to protect clients' personal data at all times. The BAP also reiterated the call from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas for collaboration among stakeholders such as law enforcement agencies, regulators, banks, and public to gather and share knowledge about cyber threats. Up next, a town in Iloilo delivers life-saving blood to patients at their doorstep. And craving for a hot treat, a Pangasinense chef gives a twist to our very own Lomi. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Yorme Isko po, bakuna po ang ating kasangga. sa patuloy na pandemya. Kaya upang maproteksyonan ang ating sarili at mga mahal sa buhay, huwag po nating palampasin ang pagkakataong magpabakuna sa lalong madaling panahon. Tandaan na sa patuloy na laban kontra COVID-19, ang disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado. Magparehistro, magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Manila, God first.
Hi everyone, James Deacon here. The COVID-19 vaccines are finally here, and the government wants to make sure the vaccines reach us. So let's do our part by making sure that we get registered to be included in the vaccination list of our LGU. You can register right in the comfort and safety of your own homes through your LGU's online registration platform. And you can also register on-site in the vaccination venues or through your barangay. Remember, getting vaccinated is the first step towards ending this pandemic. So let's do our part as disciplined citizens. Bida ang may disiplina. Magpakarehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. The Philippine Overseas Employment Administration is looking to recommend another increase in the number of healthcare workers that can be deployed abroad. POA Chief Bernard Olalia said only 1,000 slots are remaining out of the 6,500 cap imposed by the government on the overseas deployment of healthcare workers, including nurses. He added that these slots are expected to be filled up by August. The government earlier granted the request of the United Kingdom to exempt them from the deployment cap. The 5,000 deployment cap has been reached last June, prompting the Department of Labor and Employment to ask for an increase. The government's deployment cap seeks to ensure that the country has enough healthcare workers amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The proposal comes as new markets are emerging for Filipino healthcare workers amid the global coronavirus crisis. Olalia said more countries in the ASEAN region, Singapore and Hong Kong, as well as the Middle East, need a large number of nurses. He, however, said the top destinations such as Saudi Arabia, UK, Germany, and Japan also continue to hire Filipino workers. Olalia also assured the protection of deployed healthcare workers from abuse. The successful whole-of-nation programs of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict have changed the lives of former communist rebels who are now productive members of society. Secretary Michael Lloyd Dino, head of the Office of the Presidential Assistant for the Visayas, cited the Dagyawan sa Barangay and Serbisyo Caravan, which engage people down to the grassroots level. He said President Rodrigo Duterte's whole-of-nation approach enables a collaborative, multi-sectoral approach to address concerns and issues brought by insurgency. As of this month, over 6 million pesos worth of assistance has been given to a total of 128 former rebels through the Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integrated Program. Dino noted the success stories of former rebels who received assistance from the government. He said he hopes the NTF-ELCAC will continue addressing insurgency even beyond the Duterte administration. Families of patients needing blood for transfusion need not worry about sourcing, as the Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office of Calinog, Iloilo will facilitate it for them. The MDRRMO launched early this week the Dugo Ko Idulong Ko, Isugpon sa Kabuhi Mo, or Free Delivery of Blood Request program as directed by Mayor Francisco Calvo. A relative of the patient can call the MDRRMO, which will pick up the request document from the hospital. They may present their certificate of indigency so they won't pay for the processing fee and their blood card. The blood will be delivered regardless of whether the patient is confined in a hospital in Calinog or anywhere in Panay. The MDRRMO has partnered with the Philippine Red Cross for the blood program. They have set around 20 blood drives this year. Those who would like to avail of blood can call the MDRRMO's cell phone or landline numbers. South Cotabato's tourism industry continued to thrive in the first 6 months of the year despite the threats posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Richie Matunding, a program assistant of the South Cotabato Arts, Culture, Tourism and Museum Unit, said the province posted over 712,000 domestic and foreign visitors from January to June, a nearly 300% increase from last year. Matunding attributed the huge increase in arrivals to the more relaxed COVID-19 restrictions set by the local government based on the guidelines set by the National Interagency Task Force. Lake Cebu, the province summer and ecotourism capital, posted the most number of tourist arrivals with over 250,000 visits. The famed Seven Falls ecotourism site in Lake Cebu was the top tourist destination during the period, followed by the Strawberry and Guyabano Farm and the newly opened Nature and Farm Resort in Sitio Galandang, Barangay Cablod, both in Tupi Town. A chef in Pangasinan is serving tasty and affordable fusion cuisine with his creation of Pinoy Lomi fused with the flavor of Japanese ramen. German Roa, the owner of K&S Lomi Overload in Barangay Poblacion West, Asingan, used his knowledge as a Japanese cuisine chef to create his comfort dish. His restaurant, which opened the first week of July, became a hit because of its overloaded ingredients and delicious taste, all at an affordable price of 40 pesos per bowl. The Roa said he makes sure of the freshness of his ingredients and the presentation of the dish to make it more enticing for the customer. He said he's not after a huge return from his food business as he understands the situation of the people amid the pandemic. The Public Information Office of Asingan Town has also attested to the popularity of Roa's restaurant, saying it is a place for visitors to come back for. The News and Information Bureau is celebrating its 34th anniversary. The NIB, an attached agency of the Presidential Communications Operations Office, has been unwavering in its commitment to provide efficient, effective, productive, and economical services relating to the development and formulation of a domestic and foreign information program for the government and the presidency. In the past years, the NIB's 4 divisions, the Philippine News Agency, the Media Accreditation and Relations Division, the Presidential Press Staff, and the Financial and Administrative Division have been working hand in hand to fulfill its mandate while rising above challenges. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the NIB has been relentless in delivering truthful and reliable information on the government's key programs that aims to provide a better life for Filipinos. It also conducts activities that aim to give back to the community and help those in need.
Beyond our primary role as information processors, we are healers and hope givers to our co-workers, family, and our community. With or without COVID-19, let us all push to maximize our potential as a credible and reliable communications agency under the PCOO that shall fuel Filipinos' resilience and motivation, whether here or abroad, to be government partners, especially in the wake of fighting an invisible enemy. Let us continue to work together selflessly to heal as one so that we will always be around as government communication enablers. Happy anniversary and mabuhay tayong lahat!
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Metro Manila is back to enhanced community quarantine starting August 6 to 20. More restrictions are now in place as a stricter GCQ is now in effect in the region until August 5. The Philippines extends its travel ban on 10 countries until August 15 as it works double time on preventing further spread of the highly transmissible Delta variant. Beefing up alliance, the Visiting Forces Agreement between the Philippines and the U.S. will remain as the Defense Department confirms that President Rodrigo Duterte recalled its abrogation. And a mouth-watering way to hit up the rainy days. A chef from Pangasinan creates a fusion of Japanese cuisine and our very own Lomi. As Filipinos, we all have vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I'm Marita Muaje. Have a good day.